Hey, good evening, and welcome to the Shomers Town Board special meeting of Thursday, September 20th. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Patty, roll call.
Councilman William G. Faulkner.
Here.
Councilman Richard G. Quincy.
Present.
Councilman Anthony J. Sarico.
Here.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.
Here.
Supervisor Rick Morrison.
Present. Okay, do we need to, Tom, you said about a delay?
Yeah, apparently, I guess we're waiting for one person and a projector for the first item. So what I was going to suggest is maybe we go on to a couple other items until it gets here, if acceptable.
Since this is a special meeting called for this purpose, there aren't a lot of other items, so we may have to go without a projector then. But the second item on our agenda tonight is tax tertiary settlement. That was worked out with our tax assessor and town attorney. And that should be in your packet, gentlemen.
This is the nursery property.
Could you use the microphone?
This is the nursery property up on Route 100.
No pain.
No pain. There are actually 3 lots involved.
All right.
2 of the lots were settled with no reductions,
Right.
and 1 lot reductions were warranted. The total refunds, I think, are about school, county, and town, about $20,000.
Okay. Okay, so that's the settlement offer that we arrived at. Okay, so then I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town attorney to execute a consent judgment in the following matter: Joseph Lopane versus Town of Shomers, index number 67794-12 et al. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, the next agenda item is for review and comment. We have a Manitou wetland, stormwater management, and erosion and sediment application, and this has to do with a proposed pool. I would make a recommendation, unless there's any comment on it, I would make a.
You said a pool.
Pool.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you said school.
That's what I thought.
What'd you say, a pool?
I thought you said school.
Oh, no. Pool.
Okay.
So, this seems like a pretty
Straightforward.
routine application, so I would make a motion to refer to the planning department. Where?
Second.
No comment.
With no comment.
No comment.
Just, yeah, but we're referring, no comment, to who?
They've sent.
To
No
whom?
planning board.
Okay.
They've asked
That's what I'm
us for a
saying, we'll
comment.
refer,
We're referring with no comment to the planning board.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And then the second application is a wetland application for Odell, which is a Tomahawk Farm on 118, and they're proposing to put in a concrete pad for a dumpster for manure and do some fencing and putting in a hydrant. I have no comment on that either. Anybody else have any concern? Okay, I'll make
No,
a
seems
motion to refer it to the planning board with no comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Item 4 is request permission to go to bid for the 2019 materials for the highway department, per memo dated September 11th from Thomas Cheverini, Superintendent of Highways. Okay, so this is the materials list that he presents every year.
Right.
So I'll make a motion to go out to bid.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, under 5, first off, I'd like to acknowledge the letter of retirement from Ephraim Citrella as our town building inspector to take effect September 29th. That's his official retirement date with the system. I realize that's a Saturday, but his last day of work for the town will be the 28th of September. He has been our building inspector for quite some time. Has kept the town moving, inspections done. We've had a lot of damage to structures over the last 6 months due to weather conditions. And he's been out there stopping poor construction and working on good construction. Our thanks goes out to Ephraim on the work that he's done at the Reynolds House, pulling together that rehabilitation project, which is still ongoing.
The gazebo also.
Excuse me?
The gazebo out in Valley.
Yep, he supervised the renovation of our gazebo in Belly Park. And there's many other things that he's done for the town that we can acknowledge. So, as we do every year, since he works out of title and he does overtime, I would like to make a motion to authorize 2018 out of title and overtime pay for Ephraim Citrella, building inspector, per email from Bob Kehoe, director of finance. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Okay.
Okay, so that exhausts our
They're here though, right?
our agenda tonight.
Anybody have any announcements, jokes?
No, they're here now.
Yeah.
Take 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, we'll take a 5-minute break while
They're setting up.
we get set up. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to make a motion. We're reconvening. Make a motion to reconvene. All in favor? Aye.
This will pick me up from here.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Mark Weingarten. I'm a partner in the law firm of Del Bello, Dinellen, Weingarten, Wise, and Wiedeker. And it's my pleasure to be here this evening representing 294 Route 100 LLC and its agent Sebastian Capital, otherwise known as the landlord or owner of the property, together with Evergreen Ridge LLC, which will be operating the school, and we'll talk about them in a few minutes, in connection with their request what will be for a zone change to your zoning code, actually a text change to the existing zoning on the property and the regulations which are applicable to the very iconic property located at 294 Route 100, formerly known as the IBM campus. First I want to go, and we'll do it quickly, but we have a lot of members of our team and we want to introduce them to you because we take this very seriously and we believe we have assembled an excellent team of people to bring this project to fruition. First, representing 294 Route 100 LLC, the landlord, are the agents of the property, Sebastian Capital and its principal, Roxana Giron, who's very well known to the area. Just briefly, the property owner is owned by an entity where the parent company is a family-owned business which is based in Mexico. It is a deeply capitalized company. It owns in excess of 3 million square feet here in the tri-state area of the United States, and it's committed only to special places where they make long-term investments. And as you know, here in Shomers, they don't only limit their investment in Shomers to the IBM property, but they are also the owners through a related entity of the Pepsi campus. So this is a company that is very invested, as all of you are, in Shomers and its long-term future, and we're very excited to be here today with respect to this project. Also here today, and you'll hear in a few minutes from the principal and from partner and managing director Tim DeCipio, Evergreen Ridge LLC, and I'm going to apologize in advance. No, we don't have a name for a school yet, but we're going to have one. We've been calling it Shomers Academy. You have to get a name change through the certain departments in New York State. We're going to be working on that, and when we're ready to announce it, we will. For now, we're going to refer to it as Shomers Academy, but Evergreen Ridge is the entity that's going to own the school, and you will hear from Tim. We also have with us today very important people from Titan Partners, who are the money for this project, who are going to be putting together the equity to do this. And we have with us Vivek Kamath, who's a partner there, here in the front row. And of course, while we're going to do the presentation with only a few people, we're here for questions, and you will get to know us through this long process of public hearings, et cetera. We also have with us tonight a very important person, Eric Kyer from KG&D Architects, who's also the person who runs the projector for us. So he is a very important person as far as this presentation is concerned. We also have with us Avison Young. We have Sean Cahill, the principal and managing partner, together with Tracy Casper, who are the real estate people behind this transaction on behalf of the school. We have Kinley Horn, Bonnie Von Olson, and John Canning, who are part of the environmental team, which will be doing the studies that are going to be necessary to go forward with this project as we talk about the procedure. And finally, we also have with us from Thompson and Bender, Dean Bender, our PR person, who's also here for answering questions. So we want you to know, I apologize, Rich Williams, who we're not going to get any of the engineering done from Insight without him. I don't know how he's not on this list, so I apologize for that. But Rich is here with us as well. So just briefly, the property, which you can see up on the screen, and you all know as the former IBM lab corporate campus, was purchased by the current property owner back in 2016. And it's 743 acres. It's 1.2 million square feet of buildings. It's 5 interconnected buildings that you can see on the screen. They're interconnected underground. You don't never have to go outside once you're in one building to go through all of it. It's incredibly beautiful. It was designed by I.M. Pei back in the day, but like many of these corporate campuses around this tri-state area, it no longer has somebody that's inhabiting it. We've got to figure out what is the appropriate use. What can we do with it? Many of your neighbors have gone through this in other areas. I can tell you I've been involved in projects where corporate campuses have been turned into hospitals. They've been turned into higher educational institutions. They've been turned into residential places, retail places, because the corporate office market is not quite strong enough to support all of the empty spaces that are out there. Here in Shomers, what the plan is for the owners is that they are going to take the Pepsi site and they're going to make that into and repopulate that as a business center. And they've already had some great success with that, and they've already got, as the town knows, many leases that are there, and they've had some tremendous success, much more than people had suspected that they would have, and that campus is moving forward. But of course, we have this large site that we needed another use for, and I give Roxana and her team all the credit in the world for finding this kind of use that will use all of those buildings and put them all back to work, both for the owner of the property, but also the town and its taxes. So we're very excited about it. At this point, what I'm going to do is turn it over to Tim DeCipio, who's going to take you through the Actually, Eric, let's just show some of the slides of the existing campus, and then we'll move it over to Tim. But just to give you a sense of what's there if you haven't been there. We've talked about that. So that's what it looks like from the outside. We'll show you some of the inside as well. So you can see beautiful for a school. You've got these high ceilings, all sorts of glass, and keep going. These are areas that they're just going to translate in. They already have what could make up auditoriums, classrooms that are going to be refurbished. And seeing this again, this is all going to be refurbished, and we'll take you through that in a bit. Wide hallways. It's really going to be a special place. Are you able to play that? See if it works. If it does, we have a little 1 minute.
It's not activated.
It's not activated, so when we come back for the public here, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is, Tim's gonna come up and talk to you more specifically about the school. It's a high school and what they're gonna be doing there. We'll then turn it back over to Eric, who's gonna just briefly take you through the site plan and show you what we're planning on the campus, and then we'll be available for any questions. Go ahead, Tim. Thank you.
Well, you were talking to the audience, that's fine.
Right.
I don't want to
Thanks. I'm going to apologize for my voice. I was sick last week. I feel great, but I don't sound good. So I'm going to talk about the school, the academic program, and talk a little bit about the enrollment and the number of people on the campus. we would like to build a world-class STEM academy, STEM academy, with a program curriculum enabling students to engage in real-world academic innovation, creative problem-solving, collaborative entrepreneurship. The academic programming will be aligned to very relevant emerging career fields and degree fields. This school will have an admissions based on a variety of student skill sets, not only academic performance and GPA spectrum, but creativity, leadership, empathy skills, desire to think big and innovate. This will be a for-profit high school academy, so we'd be a tax-paying entity. A little bit more on the academic programming. So, of course, we'll have a typical curriculum, but we move into advanced placement programs and then into some expanded, deep, rich curricular areas in the areas of bioscience, biotech, mechanical engineering, digital and design, art and architecture, certainly have the right campus for that. Internet media, e-commerce, artificial intelligence, we'll probably have an AI lab, manufacturing tech, robotics, aeronautics, statistics, and renewable energies. So the idea here is to create simulation, real campus relevance to course topics, real world industry situations, even invite guest mentors and experts to visit the campus. Guy there. Some of you who are parents who have kids in the school certainly recognize some of these terms. Our learning approach will be project and inquiry based, again, focused on creative problem solving, but we want to really develop out prototyping and hands-on maker spaces for the students so they can design, engineer, and create. There'll be a significant focus on team building, student-owned learning. The kids will be required to do public speaking and communication, and again, bringing in industry experts to assist teachers engage the kids in the classroom. Very exciting part of this. I'm hoping you can see it from the back, but these are some of our student enrollment and teacher staff numbers. So our student enrollment at maximum capacity, which would be 3 to 4 years down the road, would be 1,800. So we want to redevelop a campus for 1,800 students. We're projecting when we open the fall of 2000, we'd have 750. 2021 at 1,300 students, and then 2022 we'd be in the range of 1,500 to 1,800 students. On the next bullet, you can see the boarding and day school breakdown. So we anticipate 85% of the students would be boarding. You can see their tuition, boarding, and fees there at $49,000. And then day schoolers, we anticipate 15%. Day schoolers from a variety of areas, even coming up from the city, and tuition and fees at 37. And then the number of teachers, staff, support staff, administrators, we anticipate 235 employees at maximum capacity, and those break down as such: 102 teachers, 23 administrators, 110 support staff, which are a variety of positions: administrative assistants, maintenance, security, resident housing advisors, cafeteria, lab aides, shuttle bus drivers, and certainly more. As of right now, we're looking at a student-teacher ratio of 18 to 1, but we are looking at, we're not done with our academic programming, and we're looking at doubling up classrooms with 2 teachers in certain kinds of classrooms to provide high engagement, so we can see that ratio come down a bit. And then we anticipate doing some significant university partnerships, as well as engaging local and global companies to provide experts, guests, mentors to come in again to engage the student body. Mark ran through the team. I'm not going to go through everyone. Pay partnership architects are also involved, working with Eric's firm. They're a full-service architecture firm recognized worldwide for their work. They're based in the city. I think we covered some of the others. I'll just say, Evergreen Ridge, if you go back, Eric, sorry about that. Evergreen Ridge is the school campus development company We're designing the academic program. We're going to lead the school project financing and investment hand in hand with Titan. Titan's also a partner in the group, but this team are led by very experienced staff who've been education executives, educators. They've run private and public schools as administrators. We have housing, residential life and housing experts, STEM design specialists. So, good schools are a result of good talent, and we're, really bringing a great team on. There are numerous individuals already involved. Not all of them are here tonight, but right now we're early in this. We're looking at the viability of the campus and various things that affect budgets and what we can do academically and residentially on the campus in residential life, residential student life. We've got a couple of other companies. Evans Associates is doing environmental consulting, wetlands, soil, and as Mark mentioned, Dean Bender's here from Thompson Bender. Thompson Bender handling our media inquiries and information, photos on the campus. Eric, we can go to, yep. So school differentiation is important. We're looking at what it's going to take to attract families from the West Coast to bring their sons and daughters to the East Coast to a great school. And again, that's great talent, great academic program, things that differentiate on the curriculum. We want to get very cross-disciplinary on our STEM and STEAM courses, work in multimedia, video editing, and some of the things that make the school quite unique in bringing industry in to participate in the learning, which sometimes you see in schools. We want to go a little over the top with it. We're going to look at distance learning, technology, even potentially stream some of our learning out if that's something that's logistically possible. The classrooms and living environment will be very modern, and there's some significant renovation that's got to be done. Right now you're looking at a corporate campus with a heck of a lot of offices and conference rooms. Some of them can be repurposed. Conference rooms can be repurposed for classrooms. We're looking at a lot of different things. We're going to need a head of school residence on the campus as well, and it's something the design team are looking at. Next slide. Private school, the desire and demand for private school is trending upward, not only in the US, but worldwide. So that works in our favor here. There's also an industry demand for STEM and STEAM graduates. STEM field jobs are projected to continue growing through 2021. Digital design, art director jobs up 7 to 10% through 2026. So we think we're in the right space here. And then last slide. So we see, and we're early here, but we see a lot of opportunities for shared campus events, activities, not only to engage some of the Shomers and surrounding town schools in sports, but even in shared academic projects. And we were doing a little diligence and research. We're well aware of the Shomers School District commitment to STEM programs. You have a Rochester Institute of Technology College credit pre-engineering course at Shomers High School, which is amazing. I've been in 900 schools worldwide over 22 years, and that's fantastic. You've got integrated makerspaces, advanced placement programs. You got an international baccalaureate program here, which we were all excited to hear. Gifted and talented learning programs. So it not only makes an important statement about the academic opportunities Shomers provides students, but there could be a heck of a robotics competition, between our schools. So we hope to earn your respect as a good neighbor, but also an athletic and academic colleague as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to.
Can you just give 1 minute, give a minute on your background?
Yeah, sure. So I, again, about 22 years in international education. In fact, I got very familiar with that campus 15 years ago because I was the founder of a digital education company working with digital curriculum and collaboration tools to connect classrooms worldwide. And IBM became a great fan when they introduced hosting. When hosting came along, you didn't have to buy your own servers. They wanted to work with us. And so I was on the campus 8 times. And I remember driving up that road and seeing, you know, kind of serene, picturesque campus. And it's an amazing property. The buildings are terrific. We want to preserve them. We're not going to do anything to the outside, but certainly inside there'd have to be some renovation. So I ran this company for about 15 years, grew it to 29 million teachers and students in 191 countries. Left, joined one of the largest private school providers in the world as their international CEO, and did all kinds of things. Worked on study abroad programs, English language learning curriculum, advanced placement programs, and so I'm working on a university prep program now that's off and running. And when this property came along, Sean Cahill alerted me, and I wanted to see the campus because this campus was designed not only to be a great innovative corporate park, but a great potential school. It has that opportunity. So yeah, and I've assembled all the great people that I know in education, global education, curriculum, STEM design, and we've brought a lot of people through the building for tours, and so I think we're working with a terrific group here.
Can you talk about some of the schools that are operating today?
Right. So,
Are they similarly situated? And,
yeah.
You know, what
Well, I
do
don't,
you expect?
yeah, and Anthony, I don't think anyone's done anything quite like this. It's just, there aren't a lot of private schools being built. There aren't a lot of private high school academies being built right now. But I was the international CEO for Wayne Education Group, which is a Asian-based private school provider that had programs in the U.S. And I ran that for 3 years. Worked on their study abroad, built their English language learning programs, worked with some of their kids going to schools in the U.S., also worked with inbound kids coming from the U.S., going to Asian schools that would do their study abroad over sort of mutual study abroad. And then I've worked with thousands of schools on digital curriculum, technology, collaboration tools. My old company won contracts with New York City, Newark Public Schools, LA Unified. We routinely would go up against Microsoft and Google and, you know, win contracts as our product was very specific to the K-12 space. We were a pioneer in that. So I was physically in a lot of schools to see how technology was deployed, how learning was happening, what classrooms looked like. And I'm involved in a university prep program right now in Connecticut that's designed to prepare students for university study and also English language prep.
But this is going to be a unique venture.
This is a newly formed group of, you know, really a large, outstanding group of people who have all kinds of skill sets, whether it's curriculum design, housing and residence maintenance. So this is a new group. Yeah, this is a brand new company.
So you have a stable of people that you're going to draw upon to essentially
Right.
get
We've got
set up and running in a couple
of years. Yeah, we've got a good group of them right now, and there are more coming aboard. And, you know, again, people want to know that something's off and running. We're trying to understand the viability of the campus right now. There's a lot of studies going on in civil engineering, but this is a project. We'll be bringing a numerous group of people into staffing. We're already looking for a head of school. We've interviewed 3 people for a head of school, and brought one of them to the campus already. So we actually want to hire academic staff members well before the school starts.
And your target market, international?
No,
US,
it's an American school target mostly to American students, but like almost every private school will have some international students. I mean, I spent some time in international education, but our numbers would be typical of what a normal private school would have. Maybe 20% could be international.
Are you subject to New York State requirements as well?
We've got a whole team of people on that, working on it every week. There's an accreditation process. You know, it takes a couple years to get accredited. We're going to be applying with the New York Association of Independent Schools, and
We need a microphone over
Is
here.
there, Eric, are you done with the slides? Are there
These
more?
are mine.
Yeah, there's more that they're gonna go.
yeah, we're going to keep going.
All right,
Eric's.
hold the questions and then.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So the next two slides, the first one's an existing campus diagram, and the second one is a proposed. This is an aerial image focused on the 140 acres that's within the ring road. You heard earlier there's over 700 total acres on campus. The property is bounded on the west by Route 100. On the north, there's a roadway which leads up to 116, and on the south, there's a road that leads down to 138. So the 140 acres is the property that's within this ring road. You can see in red are 5 interconnected buildings. Those are the existing buildings on campus. And there's also a treatment plant that's part of the campus that addresses sewage. In yellow here are all the existing parking lots. Today, there's something in the range of about 3,200 parking spaces. Ultimately, for this project, we will need more in the range of about 600, so that will give us the opportunity to convert an awful lot of paved area into other purposes, which you'll see on the next slide. That parking area is somewhere in the range of 20 to 25 acres, so about 10 to 12 acres of land will be converted from paved to not paved. Next slide. So it's maybe a little difficult to see there, but there was an awful lot of yellow in the last slide, and now there's an awful lot of green. And that's what we basically just stated, is that most of those parking lots, when we go from 3,200 cars to 600, convert to playing fields. And so we're looking at playing fields around the perimeter, and with smaller parking lots and spot parking lots adjacent to the buildings which they would serve. The 5 existing buildings, interconnected buildings, are planned to remain as is. We're renovating the insides of them, but the exteriors will remain pretty much as they look today. You can see that some are in red and some are in blue, because there'll be a couple different uses. Some will be for academic purposes, like in the red, and for residential dormitory use, which is what's proposed in the blue. You saw on that first slide that there's a series of other new construction potential projects. An athletic center here, an art center, perhaps some additional dormitories, and a head of school's residence. And other than that, there in brown, there's some tennis courts and some basketball courts that are going on some of the existing impervious surface. But you can see that the transformation is really to convert a corporate campus into an educational campus, which combines academic space and residential space, and then the athletic space that is around the perimeter. And all that, as you can see, is basically within that 140-acre ring road that's planned for development.
So just to sum up, we're very excited. The proposal is for essentially a boarding school, high school, 9 through 12. There was a question which asked, has anything like this happened? There's nothing like that that's happened, although I will tell you that our firm was involved with the building of a middle school, high school down in Greenberg for the Solomon Schechter School, which was a new school and was very successfully launched. Same thing, started from scratch. No students, and we watched it go, and it's been a very successful thing. If the market is there, if the students are there, it will work, and it's worked in Greenberg, and it's been a wonderful success for them down there. I can also tell you, as a member of the Board of Trustees of Cornell University, and having been involved with and watched the launching of Cornell Tech down in New York City, that this whole idea of science, technology, et cetera, this is what we need here in the States. This is what's being built. This is what people are looking for. It's what kids are looking for. It's where the jobs are. And every time these universities and these schools are going into these areas, they are being a success. And I think it's part of the reason that the owner of the property has decided to invest in this and commit to this use, because we've seen the studies that Tim and his group has brought to us. The market is there. And we're very committed and believe very strongly in this idea that it's going to work, and that it's going to be something that will I don't want to say put Shomers on the map, that's a little long, we think it's already on the map, but that it'll be something that you'll point to as a tremendous asset in your community, that you house this very prestigious institution once it gets off the ground. So with that said, I'll also just mention, because I'm sure the questions will come out, the procedure for this is really something you're very familiar with. This is the informal part of the process. We haven't really started yet. Very shortly, when we come to agreement with the town, we will be submitting a petition, which essentially will allow the use of this type of use for a school on this campus. The town then goes through its process where it will study this and decide whether or not to rezone the property to permit it, because as of right now, it could not. It's going to require us to do all forms of environmental study. We've put the team together, but now the town is going to tell us what we need to study as far as wastewater treatment, traffic, impact, all of those things we're going to have to study and do the environmental. There's going to be public hearings, town board, planning board, all of those things that you're used to in the process that's going to take, some months to get through. So that's what we're hoping for, and this was just the launching of that today. So if there are any questions, Mr. Supervisor, we're prepared to try to answer.
Well, yeah, after very impressive presentation. One thing that comes to mind, our Shomers school system over the last number of years have set up what's called student safety resource officers. These are police that are actually on campus. Starting in September, the Shomers school system added 2 more. So now there are police presence in all of our 4 schools. With that in mind, a question that came to mind, what type of security would you be having? I mean, you're going to have potentially up to 1,800 students there at some point.
Right. No, as we mentioned, all of these things we fleshed out in the environmental study. We wouldn't be able to answer them today, but I can assure you that your professionals will be requiring us to put together a full safety and security manual, et cetera, that's going to have to apply to the school. We will have to show security above and beyond what you do at a typical high school, because these are going to be kids that are going to be living on the campus. So we're absolutely prepared to do that, and it will all be in writing, and you'll see it, and it'll have to be to your satisfaction before we would obtain an approval for the school.
So, we have we're a few former school board trustees on the board here. I think, Rich, myself. Just in a general setting, I mean, they're usually, New York State requirements and dependencies that usually occur between private schools and the public setting, which, I'm not sure what they might be right now, but that would be part of your, your process. You would have to involve the school in with that, I think. What comes to mind is with private schools, they provide transportation, for instance, right? So if there are transportation requirements locally, you may have to coordinate with them as well.
Absolutely. We're going to be, again, New York State has a heavy regulatory oversight with respect to the accreditation of this and with the ongoing.
Communication with them.
You've been talking to Ray and,
Requirements,
okay.
What they are.
So
Yeah, okay,
the
so-
similar nature, I would say to you, for example, we take it through your process typically for a development project, and you have your jurisdiction, and you require us to do things. But there are oftentimes things that we have to do with the New York State DEC, where we have to not, conform with their regulations and do that. There is jurisdictional oversight, so we have to satisfy you, and we have to satisfy them.
Okay.
They don't even let you use a name for the school.
Right.
You can't even use a name
Sure.
until you've progressed further, so.
I mean, there's all Title I requirements and,
Yes.
all that, right? Okay.
Yes.
Let me say, when I was president of the school board, Eric, I think you've got a great guy there. He was one of the principal architects, along with Russ Davison, of the expanded school and the bond in 2005. So you made a good choice in that, or you made a good choice, whomever made the choice. Let me just ask you this. You have in Westchester, you have Hackley, you mentioned Solomon Schechter, you have Rye Country Day School, you have Harvey down the street. Do you see yourselves as in competition with those? There's a select group of, that can afford those. You're in the same price range as those schools. Is that a competitor, or you see yourself as a niche that is none of those can compete with?
Well, while we see potential day schoolers from the general proximity, 45-minute proximity, we think we're on the onset, we wanted to build a school that a family from Oregon or New Mexico or Texas could potentially send their kid to. And so something that...
And you believe that there is that market, obviously, that sustains
Absolutely.
1,800 or thereabouts.
Absolutely, and it's one of the reasons that some of the top, I mean, we think this campus aesthetically and the academic program and the modern housing and classroom and ecosystem we put together will make this one of the most important and relevant schools in the country and the world. And that's the key, that we've got to deliver something really spectacular in the academic and residential life, and we're prepared to do that with the financing and the talent we're hiring.
So maybe to get a little bit ahead of it, but since it's not based upon, let's say there's group schools, leadership prep is one of those that's all around, that's sort of a private charter type school. I know that you are not a charter type school, but there are things that they point to. This is something brand new that's not connected so far. How are you going to sell that, your vision, to people? You're talking about a lot of kids. And so how do you go about doing that? Or maybe I'm just getting ahead of you too far.
You're talking about the enrollment recruitment?
Yes, yes.
Well, again, in the offering from, again, the housing, the academic programming, the industry relevant emerging career field alignment to the STEM curriculum, and really delivering on that, whether it's maker spaces, robotics labs. You're hearing a lot about artificial intelligence. We've got enough room. We got a lot of room, 1.2 million square feet.
A lot of room.
We may have the largest artificial intelligence lab for any high school or college in the country. I don't know, but that's where we see the differentiator, is really going over the top on that and really inviting everyone into the camp. Well, not everyone, certainly, but experts to come in and really see what we're doing and hopefully report on it, and getting our teachers to speak at conferences. But we do want to give a lot of tours on the campus and show people what we're doing to get it very national.
And that requires a lot of financing to do all that.
Correct.
You have that in place, you believe?
And Vivek Kamath is here, and Vivek, I don't know if you want to say a few words on that, but we've got Titan Partners, who's a partner, equity partner in Evergreen, is the leading investment banker for the education and school space in the country.
So yeah, talk about the finances and the relationship between Sebastian Capital and your partnership.
Sure.
Are they going to stay? Sebastian Capital going to stay within the picture? Are you going to purchase the property? I mean,
So
what are you thinking?
We're going to be leasing the property, but they're going to be an equity partner as well with Tim and the organization. As Tim mentioned, we are a sector-focused investment bank and a strategy and consulting firm. All we do is work with organizations across the education ecosystem, pre-K to 12, higher education, corporate training and learning, the human capital management space. To someone's earlier question in terms of demand, this is one of the most active parts of the market that we're seeing in terms of both international demand for Western-based education as well as U.S. demand for private K-12 schools. It's actively sort of being invested by private equity, family offices, and foundations that want to have exposure to these type of innovative models in the education space. And so that's how we're planning to sort of fund this opportunity, with a combination of equity and debt, and groups that actually have past experience in the education space in terms of both investments that are active as well as realized. So in terms of the question of has this been done before, there's a school in New York called Avenues, which is one of the more successful organizations that has raised over $100 million plus in order to grow and succeed in this space. We see many models like that that are very similar to what Tim and his team are building, and we're pretty confident that sort of the investor community is ready to support this type of endeavor.
Well, let me turn the question around to you. How would you see your impact on the community? I mean, in terms of traffic, people.
Well, of course, without sounding like a broken record, we're going to study all of that and put it all in front of you. But to
Sure.
be honest,
But just in
This-
general, I
this
mean, we're
is-
trying to, this is,
we
and we're
start-
just scratching the surface
Right,
here,
we
right?
start with a property that was designed for about 4,000 employees at its
Yeah.
peak. It is it is designed for those types, we are well below that. We just talked about taking, I think it's about 3,400 parking spaces. 3,200 parking spaces, and taking it down significantly, and because we're not gonna have nearly the amount of cars. Of course, most of the kids aren't even old enough to drive. You may have the senior class that'll be out there. So again, there is the day school, but this will be, if you want to repopulate this campus and get the taxes, this is a for-profit institution. This is about as low an impact as I think you're going to find that was going to turn into the tax generation that you're looking for on that site, because of that we're going to have so many kids that'll be living there as opposed to coming in and out.
Do you typically find families moving into the area
Well,
or near
again,
or about the school?
We have
I
some of
mean-
that from Tim, and he can go through, but we would expect that there are families that may come into the area. It did happen at Solomon Schechter that there were some that came to want to be nearby. Some of these international, if those international students may very well want to buy in the community. We think this will have a very positive impact on the real estate market. We were here, we were involved with the Avalon project. As you go through these types of things and you start to have teachers that are moving in, these are jobs that are coming into your community, we think it's going to have a very positive impact on the real estate. And of course, there'll be, I'm sure, socioeconomic questions that we're going to have to study through the environmental process. We'll give you specifics on that through expert analysis.
Very
Good.
often, a parent will move with the
Tim,
child.
just-
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Very often, a parent will move with the child to wherever that private school is, if it's across the country. And even let the child live board on the campus while that parent is local, renting, or, in a condo or a home somewhere. It's very common.
If I can follow up on Anthony,
No, go ahead.
on Anthony's question. When any organization, any business has come, and this is a business, in a sense, comes in front of us and is asking for a change in purpose, a rezoning. We've said, obviously, you want your business, whatever it might be, to succeed, from the Chico's to the new housing on 100 by Boniello. And then we always say, and we want a better town for that. We want something that's not just yours, but ours. Do you see any ways that that your project will benefit Shomers? As over the past 2-3 years, of course, it's been an object of great inquiry and curiosity about people, what's going to happen up there on the hill. And people will tell all of us here, and I'm sure discuss it with people in the audience, well, can we get a pool up there? Can we get more fields up there? Is that going to, can we put an airport up there? Is Amazon coming? We have all these things. Do you see any way that you can incorporate, I know a school is a little different, that this will benefit the town by having you there? You had mentioned, of course, maybe it will enhance our reputation. Maybe it will bring in renters or buyers. Certainly that's a possibility. Do you envision other ways?
I just off the top of my head, you're certainly going to have people that are going to be there coming in. I can imagine that if I owned a business across the street in that center, I'm going to be thrilled with the fact that I think I'm going to have a lot more customers that are coming into the area. So I think that's going to feed your commercial district that you have down there in the center. And I think that's going to be, if you bring population in, it's going to be helpful. I think you're also bringing in what will amount to, these are people that can afford this type of tuition. They're going to be moving into this area. As I mentioned, I believe this is going to be a benefit to your real estate market. And I think we'll see that if you have people buying homes, that's just supply and demand, that's going to work its way through. As far as the other things that Tim was talking about, it's a little bit less tangent or tangible, but we can talk about the interconnections that can happen between your school system and this private school, and there can be, whether it's through athletics, whether it's through the robotics, the types of things that Tim was talking about. I think that all adds to what your community is about. So if we bring in this institution and it becomes what they think it's going to be, I think it's something that if you, for example, go down to Tarrytown, I think you'll find out people are thrilled that Hackley is in Tarrytown and has been for years. I think it's a source of pride, and I think they would all tell you that they believe that it's a builder, because also when the people graduate from there, they know Somers, their families live there, they may want to come back and live there, you know, and be a part of your community. So, you know, some of that stuff's not as tangible, but yeah, no, I think that a great institution, whether it be a high school or a college, et cetera, can have tremendous impact on the community that houses it.
But there's no vision for any public spaces or public use of any spaces there for recreation or something like that because it's a private school.
We haven't looked at that yet, but that's certainly something we can examine during the process if people have ideas as to that. There are security issues and things that we'd have to work out, but certainly we could have the conversation.
So typically in this setting, though, will the folks that are boarding there at off time have access to the town, want to have access to the town? Or are they pretty much be on campus? And then sort of a tangent of that, what's your operation? Is it a normal school year, or is it a 12-month year? And how does all?
Yeah, good question. Every school has a policy on campus departure. I mean, certainly, this is a really large campus, over 700 acres. And they can ride by the ring that Eric showed. That road is 1.5 miles around, I think. You know, so there's certainly a lot of bike riding. We'll have some hiking, but we will have a policy for students departing the campus to come into town, and we're certainly going to look at how that happens. Are they going to walk? Would they ride a bike?
Right.
So these are absolutely things on our list.
They probably don't want me to speak. But I went to a private school. I went to a boarding school. Obviously, the local restaurants get used quite a bit. Families that come into town, the nice restaurants get busy quickly. Also, the places to stay, bed and breakfasts, inns, hotels, they all be, the business is also going to be there. The pizza places and the local delis and shops like that, students often have the opportunity to either call in or to go downtown for things like that. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity there for additional business and commerce related to the school coming in. And also, typically, and obviously it's something that has to be worked through, there's wonderful facilities that are going to be built up there, and there can be some synergies between the town and the school, and that would obviously have to be worked out through.
I have a question. I don't think it's been asked yet. Is this going to be co-ed?
Yes, it will.
Okay, it's going to be a co-ed campus.
That was easy.
It's double trouble.
And by the way, we will get creative. We will, in this process, have these conversations. I will tell you, at Solomon Schechter, it was easy for us because they didn't use their building on Saturdays because of the Sabbath. So all their sports facilities were available to certain high schools and others on Saturdays. We will figure something out. We just don't have answers for you today. But we do want to be interconnected. We, in fact, had a slide on that. That is something that we will look to see how it works.
Well, I would
Yeah.
think that would be something very important to the town, rather than some cloistered place. Obviously, security is number one for you, of course. People are trusting their kids to you. But the more that that's integrated within Somers, I think would be a good thing for everybody. You would imagine you have 15% of your kids, I think you said, were day students? Or to have it, that's 85%.
We think about 15%.
50. Would you imagine some of them would come up on the railroad, like kids who come here, go to Fordham or Iona Prep, they go on the railroad? Would you imagine that would happen?
We're looking at that, and certainly some more work to do and different kinds of people to meet on that. That's absolutely a consideration.
Because the reason I ask that is it would seem to me that if you did that, and you have a train station right there, of course, we've been interested in a sidewalk to go from that train station right here to the middle of town. And if you've got kids who want to come and use the pizzeria, and they're going to walk, or kids taking the train, that would be something that would benefit this town and your school, I would think, if
Okay,
we
noted,
worked on that.
Noted.
Okay, well, I was encouraged to hear that in your presentation you were talking about relationships with the schools, Kennedy High School, Somers High School, getting the student populations together, you know, your AI lab and a lot of things that robotics, you know, the Somers school system is very much invested in that. So it was encouraging to hear that you're going to interface with the community and once again not be, you know, sequestered up there.
Right.
Because, you know, those slides that you just showed, I would venture to say the majority in this room, people here and watching, have never even been on the campus.
Right.
It's something else, yeah.
Yeah,
I've never been.
so maybe a future suggestion would be an open house before you bring your students in or something, but
I'll talk to the landlord.
there you go,
I
yeah.
know her.
That's a tough,
I would also say if you have a similarly situated school where you have a relationship, I mean, I would like to visit them.
I'm sorry.
I would like, if you have a similarly situated school locally here, I'd like to visit them and interact with some of the community members there and just understand
Right.
some of the impacts that they've experienced. So that would be helpful, I think.
I appreciate you coming out here. I mean, obviously, we've met at a prior meeting and went a little bit even more in depth, and Mark and I met earlier, so I'm excited about it. I think it, obviously, I know we were in the very early stages, and there's a lot of things to do, but nowadays, like you said, the main thing is it's incredibly hard to get one facility to take a campus that large. I mean, you're just not happening. My business I'm in, we all work out of our homes now. So, so I'm looking forward to the progression that we have. I thought the work you did was great with the fields, and obviously, if we can, share some stuff and do things like that with our school system, that would be fantastic.
Right, we're early.
Yep, I know you
A
are.
lot of work to do.
I know
A
you
lot of
do.
work.
okay, well, we
Great.
want to thank you for coming in and sharing your vision with the town. Yeah, Nancy, you want?
You're not getting away yet, Mark.
Nancy Garbino, I'm on the planning board. Have you estimated how long it'll be before you get your petition together?
Well, I think you have to talk to council over there. We've already got a draft, so we're working through it, hopefully within a couple of weeks. If we're successful, then I think we'd be ready to do
We're
it.
thinking the October meeting that we submitting.
Wow.
Now, of course, so the public realizes, this is a informal presentation, basically. They're sharing with us their vision for that campus. It's not zoned for this school, so we have to go through that process. There will be a public hearing where the public will come in and be able to voice their concerns. And, you're expecting to get us some type of an application
Right.
by our
By
next
October.
meeting.
And if we are successful in that, then there's a site plan and likely a subdivision requirement also that follows that. So
Yeah.
we're going to be in front of your boards for a period of time.
We got a
before
ways
it
to
gets
go.
there. Right, we're just starting it tonight.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a few
There
announcements.
goes the audio.
Do your announcement, Mr. President.
Yeah, can you guys give us 1 minute just to go through the final announcements before you run out? Thanks. It won't take long, I promise.
Yeah, we're gonna go quick. So let's start, Bill, you have a announcement?
Yes, the New York Blood Center is issuing a desperate plea for additional donations. Summer is a particularly tough time because of the perishability, and they're particularly looking for donors with O negative and B negative blood types. If you are of those types or any blood type, please contact the New York Blood Center.
Tomorrow is a remembrance ceremony right down here at Ivandale Cemetery for POW and MIAs, and that's at 6:30. It's a short ceremony, but I've been there and it's very nice. So if you can, come on out. That's tomorrow night, Friday, September 21st, 6:30 at the Ivandale Cemetery. Thank you.
Okay, this Saturday is the Celebrate Shomers celebration at the town center. It'll begin at 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and enjoy a day of Shomers family fun, participating in exciting fun activities, meet and greet with local businesses, a great day to celebrate our beloved town, rain or shine.
May I add something?
Yes.
I forgot last meeting. September 17th is Constitution Day in the United States, where you celebrate one of the two great days along with the Declaration of Independence. And at the Celebrate Shomers, I'll be giving out, as I usually do, pocket constitutions. If you don't have one, you can get one on Saturday from me. I've given out over 3,500 of those, and my goal is to get up to about 20,000. So thank you,
Very
Mr.
cool.
Supervisor.
Thank you. Thank you. So Sunday, September 23rd, is the Shomers Women's Club Tag Sale. It's a fantastic event, well-attended, and does very well. So donations are wanted, vendors are wanted. Interested in donating items or reserving a vendor space, you can email swc@somerswomensclub.com. Proceeds go to the local charities. And these announcements will be up on our website. Also, after the tag sale is over on Sunday at 4 p.m., you can shoot over here. Somers Park and Recreation in Bailey Park, we're having a concert Sunday, September 23rd from 3 to 5. And it's the band Out After Curfew, open to Somers residents, and it's free of charge.
Okay, so
Students from the
Sunday, September 30th, is going to be a busy day at Reese Park. The Somers Library Foundation is going to have their 5K walk and run. That's going to be in the morning. It's going to start at 9:30, and the run will continue till 10:30. Following that, SEF, which is the Somers Education Foundation, is going to have their chili cook-off from 11:30 to 3:30. And that's going to go until the chili runs out. It was an awesome event last year, a lot of fun. I just want to add one other thing. On Sunday, October 7th, in FDR Park, which is in Yorktown, over by Yorktown, Support Connection, which is a group, a local group that supports women and families with breast and ovarian cancer. And my wife is on the board now, so I have the opportunity to support her.
Yeah, you want to go home
It's gonna
tonight,
have a-
right?
Yeah, I want to go home tonight. It's going to have a run and a walk on October 7th in FDR Park. So we'll make further announcements about that, but it's a great cause. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, again, on Sunday, September 23rd, you're going to be out of the house all day. We have Right Reese Homestead, in conjunction with Somers Women's Club Tag Sale, so it's a little overlap, is having music on the porch by the Somers own Scott Orgola, photos with Walter Reese 1970 Ford Model T. How can you miss that? Games, prizes, house and barn tours, refreshments. Again, this will all be up there, but that's Fall Festival and Open House at the Right Reese Homestead, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And everybody, if you're not doing anything tomorrow night, the Somers Tuskers are taking on their rivals, the Yorktown Huskers, at 7 o'clock in Yorktown.
Good game.
Right.
So get out and root them.
Yeah, go Tuskers.
Tusker up.
Okay, any other closing comments?
Yeah,
gentlemen?
one more thing, Rick. Just want
Sure.
to wish our Jewish citizens an easy fast for Yom Kippur yesterday.
All right.
Okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
So moved.
Thank you guys for waiting.
Good night, Somers.
Thank you for waiting.